Yes.
Okay.
You got a teacher's voice.
Yes. Don't really need this, but the section of Floyd County that we're from actually has Floyd County, Roanoke County, Franklin County, and Montgomery County all coming together there very close. My family had a farm, which is now along the Blue Ridge Parkway in Franklin and Floyd County. When my mom had to sell the home I was raised in on Route 221 in Copper Hill, it didn't bother me. But we are now faced with selling the last 40 acres of the farm that we had on the parkway, because there are something like 23 heirs now, and if we get into the next generation, we'll have over 50 heirs and nothing will ever happen. So we have to do that, but that's my home. That's where we spend our weekends. Our fathers would be farming with our grandfather. We kids would be pulled in to farm. I won a contest one time because no one could guess who the person in the room was who said that if it came down to having to do it, that person could shock you oats and have them stand against the rain until it was time to thresh them. That's me. That's me. That was the background I had. So that's the background I have about everything I do. The first poem is for my grandfather. The next collection is from my little self-published book, Uncle Webb. I was at an Appalachian Studies conference one time, and Alex Haley said, every time an old person dies, we lose a library. And I've seen that in print
Yes.
a lot since that time. I think it was something that he was known for saying. But he's so right.
Yeah.
You know, as the older people in my life have died, and I now am becoming one of those older people that Catherine talks about, and somehow we got there anyway, I think about that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the old men in my community who have been considered very strange by the rest of the world. There was Mr. Morgan Poff, who would show up at our door with a feed sack once every 3 weeks or so and want my daddy to take him to the store so he could get his groceries. And when my daddy would bring him home, then he'd walk back over the hill to his house and we wouldn't see him again for 3 weeks. If he showed up at our house with his feed sack and my dad wasn't there, he would not allow my mom to take him to the store because then people would talk.
Right.
So that wasn't done. Another one was Mr. Warren Bowles, who would ride the rails all winter long and then show up again in the spring. He was the only person I ever saw who practiced that Appalachian custom of killing the black snake and putting it over the fence so that you would get rain the next day. But I watched him do that one time. So this old gentleman, Uncle Webb, is fiction, but he's also autobiographical. Okay? All right, the first one for my grandfather. Beth had heritage, I have heritage and harvest. Once the old man grew apples, but now he just told stories. To the child sitting in the dust at his feet, he served up slices of her heritage, as crisp and tart as the wine sap he offered from the tip of his knife blade. In years to come, as she grappled with how deep the roots of grief will grow, she realized that from his stories, a new orchard had sprung. To her, he had left the harvest.
That's so wonderful.